Hey guys, good morning, good evening, good afternoon, or wherever you are. So today I want to show you a quick demo on how to do testing of OData services in Fint. For those who are not familiar with OData service, so OData service is a layer. You can think of it as a layer on top of REST, where it adds some extra functionalities on it, like for example, querying, filtering, invoking some custom functions on the server. So all these are pretty cumbersome when you're just doing pure REST, and OData really just makes it a lot easy to do all this functionality. And one common comparison of OData with other service is with a GraphQL. So GraphQL is mainly used so that you send queries to the GraphQL service, and in the query you specify what are the properties that you want returned, and then the service runs and gives you back the properties that you asked for. So the by sending the query, you are essentially shaping the data that you are receiving back. And for this type of use case, actually, this is supported by OData a long time back, and yeah, GraphQL had the same support now. But this is really the what we've had in OData for such a long time already. And this is actually for this demo, I would like to show you how that would work in Fint. And yeah, so let's get started. So I had Fint open here, and as always, before we can add a client in Fint, so we always have to go through this. Even before we can start testing, we always have to add a client. So you go to click on the clients and click on create, and now here on the drop down, you have to select OData, and let's give it a name. So for this demo, I'll be using the TripPin service, which is freely available online, provided by the foundation that manages OData. And for the address, let's Google for that. So we'll be doing TripPin. So let's just TripPin OData, and I click on this, and here we have the sample TripPin service. Again, it's available online. And important thing to note here is this is the version 4 of this. This is OData version 4, and Fint only supports OData v4, so it doesn't support v3 or lower. So if you want to use Fint, you have to test an OData version 4 service. Right, and there's a small model here that describes what are the entities that are available inside that TripPin service. And if I click on this TripPin link over here, then I'll get into the actual service itself. So what I could do is I could add this service in Fint, for example. Fint has so OData has this what I call metadata right there. So the dollar metadata that you append on the URL. So that is essentially the same as a WSDL in WCF, or or this WSDL in SOAP service. In on REST service, this will be your Swagger API, and then Swagger doc, and then GraphQL. This will be the result of your introspection that you do with the GraphQL service. But essentially they're all the same. It's you you get a document, or XML or JSON or YAML or whatever, that describes what are the data types that you can get from that service, and also of course what are the function that you call inside can call in the service. So for SOAP, for WSDL, and here for OData as well. So let me just paste that into the browser, and let's see what we get. And over here you see here actually you can see that it's a schema, and this schema, you can see now the different types: person, city, and if you scroll below, it will also have the functions that will be supported in this service. Yeah, like for example here, get favorite airline function, get involve people. So yeah, so this again this metadata, this URL is a description of the service, what is the data types available inside, and what are the functions that you can call inside it. Right, so let me copy this and let's go back to Fint and paste that in. Now, so you can paste the whole thing in, the up to the dollar metadata endpoint, or you could also remove that, and Fint will still know how to discover that service. Okay, let's just add some description. This is a demo time, and let's hit go. Yeah, let's wait for a while for it to create the client. So again, what it will do is going to download that that metadata URL, and then create a strongly typed client. So it will create all the necessary classes, and it will create all the necessary functions that will work on those classes. And then that is what we will be able to test in Fint. So now that it's created over here, let's go and open that up. As you can see, Fint has generated all these different methods over here on the different types that it found on the service. So you have the you have the add method over here, and then right below that you have the delete method, and then of course you have the main one that I want to show to you guys would be this query method over here. Yeah, so you have query airlines, query airports, query people, and query photos. So those are the entities available on the service. And let's click on one, query people. That's the now that I've selected it, you can see that it presented me this query editor. Excuse me. And by default, it tells me, okay, there's a default query option added here, which is to take 10, which means take the top 10 results from the people collection. And let's run that. Okay, and then just wait for it to return a value. Okay, I know this error. I think I need to restart. Let me just quickly restart. Yeah, sorry about that. Let me go back and open that up. Should pin demo. And go back to the query people. All right, so let me just run that again. Okay, and now we get back the results. You see the green bar means everything is okay. So we're actually live querying a service. So it took 3 seconds to get back a response. And let's try that again, second time around. And now it's much faster. This is typical anyway for services. The first one is always pretty slow because of all the initialization that goes on. But the second one is you get back your typical response. So this is over the internet, so 212 milliseconds is just fine. And here, as you can see, let me collapse this. For the response, we got a status code of 200. Like it's an HTTP status code, so 200 okay. And then over here, the headers. These are the HTTP headers. So you have header and value. So server, IIS, OData version 4, content length, content type, JSON, OData, some OData specific additions to the content type. But more importantly, we have the query result. So here when we said we wanted to take 10, only 10, the top 10 of the results, and we got back here this. So we are querying people. So that means each of this item here is of type person. In this case, the result is a list, is a collection of persons. So each item is a person, is of type person. So let me just expand one of that. What's this? We can see that these are the properties of the type person, and some additional information on it. So the object editor of Fint actually will show you what are the values of the properties of the entire object. Yeah, so you can see here. So those were the key nine. I've noticed that let me collapse all this. That we sent a request to get the top 10, but we only got back 8. So what happened to the other 2? So this happens because the OData service can be configured to have paging on the server itself. So that this means that the server returns a maximum of 8 results, and if you want additional results, you have to actually you need to make a call to the next page or to the next batch of results. And that is this next button over here. So that the lightning icon with the kind of the link, which signifies that it's a link. So it's a continuation of the first call. And then yeah, the tooltip says go to next page. So let's click on that, and we should see the additional 2 that was not shown. So now we have the additional 2 persons that we of the response. So now here we have 2 items over here. Okay, of course, then I can also change this. If I don't want 10, I can just I'll just say I want 5. Yeah, and then that will be well within the batch. The server has sent maximum of 8, but 5 is okay. So we got back 5, and of course now the continuation now is disabled because we don't have any more results apart from the 5 that we asked for. And of course, let's expand this and then do a little bit of querying. So here is just a simple take 5, which whenever we do take 5, it actually all the queries that we define over here gets translated into the actual OData query, which you will see here on the log. For example, take 5 is just this. It adds this $top equal to 5 on the URL. So that's but for you as a tester, you really don't need to know this. You need to know this because you'll just be using the editor over here. Okay, so let's try a more complicated query, and let's see. Let's have let's search for the name. For example, let's search Russell. Right, so we can go to this drop down, and we can see over here there's quite a lot of options. And if you want to search only for the name, for example, someone with the name Russell, you could say where, and let me just show you the tooltip over here. So say if when you do the where query, these are the properties of the type person. So username, first name, last name, blah blah blah. But we want to test on the we want to find the user with the name Russell. So it's a name. Oh no, not name. It's first name, and it's Russell. Russell, like that. Right. So now we have a. So now we're filtering our results to those only with the first name Russell, and let's see what we get. Yeah, and of course, yep, so we get back Russell over here. And we only have one result because we only have one person with the name Russell. Let's try other queries. Let's say someone with a whose name that contains let's see what letter E, for example. So anyone whose first name has the letter E, then we'll get that. So we get 8. Well, and say Javier has an E, of course, and the next one Willie has an E. So E is pretty common, and let's start with maybe let's try something else. Let's say starts with R maybe. Russell should return there. Oh, we have 3, so that's cool. So we have the first one was Russell, second one is Ronald, and third one is Ryan, right? So they all start with the letter R. So that's how you add query. That's how you play around with the query conditions here in Fint. And as you can see, it's pretty easy to do. So you just select the condition over here, the action, and then you just type in the condition that you want. And of course, in most cases you don't just run a single condition, but actually you want to chain, one or more conditions, and that of course you can do with Fint. So you just add what you can do is you can add another line over here. So you can double click like that, or you can click the plus sign over here, and then we'll also add a new row. Let me remove the top one. So let's say that we want to get the persons that has first name starting with the letter R, but well, let's say we want it and then they have all the username. You could say order by. They have username, they have last name as well, so let's just say order by last name then. Right, so now that should be sorted also. Now you have the first name and then sorted by last name. For example, last name for Ronald is Monday, so that's letter M. And then the last name for Ryan is Theriot. I don't know how to pronounce that properly. So it's letter T. Of course, the M comes before the T. And the last one is White. So Russell White, which is a W. So we know that our response is sorted by the last name. And of course, it doesn't end there. If you want to have let's say you can add as many query conditions as you want, and you can just keep on chaining them. For example, here I'm getting 3 responses. For some reason, maybe you only want the top 2, so we just say take 2 and run that, and then you can see over here I get a response that's just 2, so which should be Ronald, and second one is Ryan, and Russell White should not be there anymore because we only took the top 2. And if we show you this, scroll up over here and just let me double click on that so you can see. So whenever we do a query like that, where, order by, and take, you can see it gets translated into this. So the where part is the filter, the $filter part with the starts with call to the starts with function. This is the order by call, and then the take 2 will be the $top 2 at the very end. Like again, you don't have to worry about all this query syntax of OData because Fint does all this internally for you, and all you just need to do is enter that on this query editor over here. Okay, and and then one more thing that I want to show, which is pretty important because this is very commonly used with OData. You can see this properties. For example, this one's with the type data service collection, friends, this friends, and then this strips. So these are empty at the moment because by default, the OData service will not return you that really huge data in a single call. So you actually have to request for the service to fill up or to populate that property for you. So for example here trips. So if I want to see the trips of this person of Ronald, then I want to be able to have some value inside this trips property. And you do that by selecting the option expand over here. And you can see let me show you the tooltip over there. So these are the expandable properties, friends and trips. So you want to expand trips, and you put here trips. And then let's run the query. There you go. So now you see over here. We now have 3 items in the trips property for Ronald. And if you expand that, you should also have you can have more details on each trip. So this one cost him 3,000, and it was a business trip to New York, and he did some sightseeing. Yeah. So for the other one too, which is for Ronald, and for his case he only had 1 trip, and then he didn't say much on what is that trip about. Yeah, so that's how you you expand this expand this additional data service collection, so that when you make a query to your OData service, then you can ask for you can request the service to provide you all this additional information by adding this query option called expand. And if you notice too that okay, let me just expand again one of the trips. Let me just put that over here. You can see that this part over here, this plan items over there, it's again a data service collection, right? And by default, the service will only expand the property that you asked it to expand. So if you want to expand this plan items, so you have to tell it that okay, you need to expand the trips plus the plan items property. And the way to do that is this. So we can do it like this, trips, and what we want is we want to expand the plan items property, which is inside the trips property. So what we do is we add this $expand. So unfortunately, the this client built with the .NET client is supporting this nested expands this way. Ideally, what we wanted to do for OData is just in OData you should just be able to expand it like this, strip/plan items, but unfortunately that doesn't work with a .NET client. And let me show you. If you run that, yeah, it tells you this error: found a path traversing multiple navigation properties. So that doesn't work. But don't worry, there's a workaround. A little bit annoying, but there's a workaround, which is to expand to explicitly expand the property. So let me say expand and say plan items. So what we're saying here is that expand the trips, and inside the trips we again expand the plan items. And let's just run that. And now we get a correct response. And if you go and see one of the trips, so this is a trip, and expand one trip right here. And previously we had this plan items, it was empty before, and now we have values for it. And yeah, and then there's some information now about the trips, the airlines taken during that trip, and all those things. Yeah, and then if you look at the query over here, so this is that over here, the dollar $expand equals trips. So this it just got added this part over there, which is essentially the same as the one we typed in up there. Of course, you can also for those who has defined their manual query options, apart from the standard ones that you have in OData, you always have an option in Fint to specify your query options. For example, you can always go to this manual query, and then here you can directly write the query that you want appended to the URL when the request gets sent out. So in this case, if I want to simulate that nested expand that we just did for the trips/plan items, I could actually just write it this way, where you have this dollar $expand equals trips, and then expanding the plan items that's inside the trips. And if I run that, it turned me green 905 milliseconds, and I get the same response as last time. Yes, and yeah, so that's it, guys. So this is the support. I mean, this is just a small preview of what's possible with OData support in Fint. I've shown you the query for querying, and as you can see, there's so many options that you could do. You can do your normal take, skip, first, where, order by descending. You can expand properties, the ones tagged with data service collection. You can count them, and you can select them and transform it into into a different structure, into a different shape. And so that is the querying part. So the querying will be the main use case really for Fint. It's mainly the reason why people create OData services. So you can just query it. It's a very flexible way of querying your service. And that's it. Yeah, and in the next videos I'll show you how to also call these other methods like add, delete, update, and also this functions on the server that we saw on the metadata, get favorite airlines, get friend trips. Okay, I'll do all that on the second video, or on the next videos. Okay, so that's it for me for OData support in Fint. If you have any questions on how things work, how to do certain things, just let me know in the comment. Or if you have any features that you want to request to be added in Fint, then yeah, of course, let me know, and I'll make sure that I'll do it, and hopefully you guys let me know what you want to see in Fint. Thanks, and see you again on the next video.